My whole life. Okay. All right, call the meeting to order. If you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The boroughs comply with the notice provisions of the Sunshine Law by adopting prior to January 10th this year a resolution prescribing the dates, times, and locations of all regular meetings of the commission. This meeting is one of the meetings listed in such resolution, and copies of the resolution were prior to January 10th filed with the borough clerk. Okay,
The motion to file the minutes and the tax collector, municipal court, and zoning office reports.
Second.
oh, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna, tonight we have actually something I've never ever done. We're recognizing some of our firefighters for a rescue that was made in January. So if I could have Captain Bob Fox, Steve Russell, I know Julian's not here, Kyle Jarodzinski, Adam Stolimer, Jacob Bicking, Michael Manning. I should say. Come on up. And bring your family. Come on. So many of you may have you may have read about this or heard about this, and I'll just preface this way: that our emergency personnel had to do a couple of different responses to dogs that had fell into Cooper River when it was iced over. This one had a good result. Okay, and the last one, the one before that, did not have a great result, but this one had a good result. Lacey is home and is still hanging out, is in good shape after probably not an intentional ice bath. But
hates water, believe it or not.
she hates water?
But yeah,
So it's a double surprise.
I know she can swim, thank God she could.
That's right.
She tried to do ice skating.
Yeah.
She go ice skating without him.
So we have recognized officers for many human saves over the years, and this was one where they really went. There's some video of this, the rescue and the work that was done with guys in the water, chopping through the ice to get out to the dog was really, it was really heroic, and it was really great to see. And it's more than just rescuing this dog. Rescuing the dog will be enough, but it's really keeping somebody in the family. It's a really important thing. So this is a squad, a recognition of the squad, of the firefighters that have been involved. It says awarded in recognition. And let me just say this: these guys have been recognized more places for this than anything that's ever happened before in Collingwood. Okay, so Lacey, you guys all owe Lacey a treat because they've been getting more airtime than all over the state. Right, Senator Lesniak had them up to the state. They've freeholders. Yeah, they've been all over the place. So awarded in recognition of outstanding performance on effecting a successful ice rescue of a trapped dog from the Cooper River on January 21, 2019, by placing yourselves in harm's way to rescue this friendly pet, is a testament to your dedication and service to the residents of Collingswood, presented this date by us. So we appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
It's all right.
On the ice.
I'm not gonna.
Would you like to say anything? Do you guys want to say anything?
I'm so happy your dog's okay.
We're so happy that you were there.
Well,
Traumatic, I think more for us than it was for the dog.
Sure.
She don't even know what's going on.
No problem. But she's fine.
Oh, yeah, everybody, it's just-
No problem.
Our love of our life. our dog. Thank you so much.
We'd love you to stay. You do not have to stay for the meeting, okay? Gentlemen, ladies, you're free to go. Thank you again for your service. Okay.
Following ordinances. We have the first reading public hearing of ordinance 1657, readopting ordinance 1207, authorizing to implement the granting of tax abatements and exemptions.
So this is an ordinance that is, this law is already on the books. It's been for ages, and for folks that, if you do an addition on your house or you improve your, put a new kitchen in, and you're gonna get an added assessment because of it. We have a law on the books that gives you an abatement on that up to like $25,000 a year, which is the max that state law allows. This is simply, we're required to re-adopt that program every 10 years. So it's coming up for that time, and so this is simply keeping in place all the programs we already have and re-adopting it so it's effective. So the second reading will be at our April 1st meeting. That's going to be a fun night. April 1 here on public hearing and second reading. Okay?
Mayor Mallon?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewandowski?
Yes.
Okay, we have the first reading ordinance 1658, an ordinance approving an amendment to financial agreement for long-term tax exemption between Collins at the Lumberyard 70 Urban Renewal Entity LLC and the Borough of Collingswood.
So these are all add-ons ordinance that we're doing. I'll explain to you why we're doing it this way in just a minute. I'll just read all of them. We're doing it together.
Ordinance 1659, financial agreement for long-term tax exemption between the Collins at Lumberyard Commercial Urban Renewal Entity LLC and the Borough of Collingswood. And ordinance 1660, an ordinance approving an amendment amendment to the financial agreement for long-term tax exemption between the lumberyard
So the lumberyard project, if you think of it as being split down the middle as two different projects. One side of it, the side closest to the Wawa, are condominiums. The other side of the project, the lumberyard apartments, includes the back building, the other half of the back building, and the apartments that were constructed up front. That part of the project is all under a long-term pilot agreement. That property has been sold, it is in the process of being sold. There has been a request for us to approve a transfer of the pilot agreement, which is all authorized under law and under our agreement. We agreed to transfer it to the next, what's called an urban renewal entity. For those of you that were here last month, might remember some people stood up and asked about it. We've been having a bit of a tussle with them to learn the details of the transaction because it may factor in to some of our calculations in terms of the finances of the pilot. Under long-term pilot agreements, entities that receive them are required to pay to the borough what's referred to as excess profits, okay? Complicated statutory formula for it. It is not often hit, okay, excess profits, but we felt it incumbent that we know what the financial transaction was so that we could make an evaluation if there's anything else we need to look at with respect to this transaction. The buyers have been balking at giving us that information. And we met with them at 4 o'clock today, and they gave us that information. So we're gonna review that with our, it is confidential right now, but we're gonna review that with our auditor, our financial advisor, probably gonna bounce it off with an appraiser, just do a little due diligence to make sure that everything is square. So this ordinance is being introduced, it won't be adopted till April 1, so we'll be completed by then, no need for a contingency. So that's what this is about. So the public hearing will be at our April 1st meeting. If everything checks out okay, now that we have the information, we'll be fine, it'll be on the agenda. It's not changing any of the terms, it's just transferring it to a new one. And that's it, that's what that is, so
All right, this is the vote for ordinance 1658, 1659, and 1660. Mayor Maley?
yes,
Commissioner Leonard?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewandowski?
Yes.
Okay, we have the following resolutions. Authorizing the auction of municipal vehicles and equipment.
yes,
Yes.
Appointing Tara Riley as violation clerk.
yes,
Yes.
Appointing Madeline Dees as coordinator for the Collinswood Senior Community Center.
yes, welcome aboard.
Approving an increase to the 2018 temporary budget.
So this is, at the beginning of the year, before we adopt the budget for the year, we have to keep adopting temporary budgets. So when it says adding on, it means we're adding on for another month to run the temporary budget until the full budget is adopted. That's what this is. Yes,
Yes.
Authorizing the appropriation reserve transfer.
yes,
Yes.
Approving salary resolution for recreation secretary and senior community center coordinator.
yes,
Excuse me. Approving a shared service agreement for EMS and fire protection services.
Yeah, this is an agreement we've done forever with Haddon Township where our fire department is, in a shared service, is first responder for fire calls, incidents on the extension, their extension, which is this agreement with them, we are able to get that program. So this has been in place since there used to be a fire company, a volunteer company on the west side with a firehouse there, and we picked it up since then. So, yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I have two add-ons. A resolution authorizing actions by the Borough of Collinswood for the transfer of the lumberyard project.
Yes, this is all related to the ordinances that we just talked about. Yes.
And I noticed that it put the payment of bills on here, so a resolution to approve the payment of bills as presented by the treasurer.
So we'll pay the bills, yes.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things I just wanted to mention, some things. First of all, good news. First of all, congratulations to our James Beard Award semifinalists. This is the Oscars of the restaurant industry. And Sagami and Zeppeli's Joey Baldino have both been recognized. And I thought I'd put it into context a little bit. New York City has a James Beard Award semifinalists for every 246,000 category. The only people that can be in it is New York City. Philadelphia has one per 158,000 people. And Collingswood, little old Collingswood, has one per 7,000. So it's really quite an honor for these restaurants. And, and they're not alone, right? We've seen the other awards and recognition, Hearthside, Portrait Proper, Sabrina's, Sapori, Pop Shop, Constellation Collective. I'm sure. It's some good news and some recent news, and I just thought I'd share it. Some other good news. Congratulations to all the kids and the coaches and the fans of Collingswood Odyssey of Mind. Last Saturday, they held a up at Northern Burlington High School. Amazingly, 9 teams placed in the Win Placer show, first, second, or third. And more than that, they got to be part of just a super program. Really helps kids nurture their team building skills, their creative problem solving. It's about 120 kids in all part of the program, and to action. I don't know if you've been over to where but it is an absolute mess because these kids are doing all this maker stuff and building and stuff. Related note, the library is the place you're going to be on March 22nd. That's where our little library that could is going to hold the 5th annual New Jersey Makers Day. So it's an all ages event, and there's a bunch of variety of activities from button making, tile magnets, paper beads, and more. The library, along with the school district, won a statewide grant to fund our makerspace, and this is a great opportunity. Another great opportunity, United States Army Field Band is coming back. They were here a couple of years ago. They don't usually come back, but March 14th they'll be at the right. Or neat feature this year is we actually and choir members who are actually going to perform with the U.S. Army Field Band. So it's a nice way to and I'll mention is March 27th is Get Up Collingswood. So that's, if you don't know, family-friendly event, sort of part neighborhood meet and greet, part party, where there's beer and other refreshments and kids' activities as well, and then it's part volunteer fair. You like the things that are going on in Collingswood, community volunteers, and those people love what they do, and they love to have more people involved. So as a lot of our residents always say, how can I get involved? This is a great place to start informally and just sit there and talk to some people and learn more and hopefully get involved. That's all I got.
Commissioner Leonard?
Well, I don't know how there's anything, there's a lot of good stuff, Rob, thank you. I just wanted to bring up that on April 12th, we'll have our Arbor Day celebration that we have where every school gets a chance to help with planting a tree. And it's a great way for kids to learn service and to be part of something green in the community. So we look forward to that every year. It'll be at 1 p.m. on Friday, April 12th. There'll be more about that to follow, but I just wanted to give you some awareness that that's going on. It's a great event. There's more than 100 children involved in that planting day. The next day is the Collingswood Green Festival. So if you're interested in coming out to get your compost, your rain barrel, buy a tree for cheap, or see some children who are moving forward into letting you know how you can help the environment. We have some more interesting and new things, as well as learning how to build a rain garden, which will be featured this year as well. There's so many things. So I hope you'll come out and join us, rain or shine. So look it up, and please something that you'd like to be part of with any of these environmentally sustainable activities, and we hope to be part of it. We're very proud of all the people who do so many great things in our town. This is a way to showcase it, let you meet everybody and get involved. So thank you. Mayor?
I apologize if Rob mentioned this, but on the field band, tickets are free.
Yes,
Just
thank you.
tickets are free. And they're available online, I'm pretty sure they're available online, right? So tickets are free, it's general admission. They had the field band here a couple of years ago in the summertime, we did it in the park, had a huge crowd. So there's really big demand, people will be coming from all over for it, so get your tickets. It's a wonderful night. Maddie, welcome aboard, wish you the best in running this place. No, I'm only kidding. It's all adult. We have, I know no one's interested in this, but we have short-term rentals. It is, we have hard copies in the back if anybody wants to grab it. As we've said before, we will tomorrow or the next day, whenever I can, I will email out to anybody that is a copy of it for them to provide us any of their thoughts or comments. I just want to emphasize that this is literally hot off the presses from our attorney today. It's not an ordinance, like we're not introducing it tonight because I don't think we have agreement on it, okay? So it's a draft, it's for discussion. We thought it was something we want to put it out there for everybody to comment, give us thoughts on, since it's been an issue that people have their own ideas on. We'd like to hear what you have to say. Okay, that's all we've got. This is the public portion of the meeting. Anyone like to bring anything before the commission? This is your opportunity to do so. Yeah.
Moments ago, you approved the minutes to a meeting. What month were they for?
I'm not sure, Mr. Klingman. I just, they go back from October, November, December. October, November, December.
I'll be have to do some business in the Borough Hall concerning in community later on the week.
I don't know. Yeah, we're really a few months behind. They have to be transcribed, but it takes a little doing.
Thank you.
Sure.
But whatever you need for the community garden, just keep us posted.
Yes,
The spring's coming. Mulch.
You got it. Anything else? Yes.
Oh, sure. Fiona Dawson, 841 Maple Avenue. Following up on Rich's remark about the meeting minutes, notice they aren't available online. And I heard what you just said, Mr. Mayor,
They're not?
but they haven't been put up in a timely manner.
Well, okay. So they're available online, just the ones that we have. The
October.
minutes are up, just October, November, December haven't been up. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay,
we haven't had minutes.
Well, that's pretty timely in our world, okay? I mean, we're a few months behind, but it doesn't get, like, they have to get transcribed, and it's kind of, it's not, they don't get done the next month.
Okay, so 5 months later.
Well, no, only 1 month is 5 months later. November is 4 months later, December is 3 months later,
Thank you.
okay? So we get them up as quick as we can. Our clerk's office is a one-person office, okay? So Oprah requests that she get,
She thinks that we can reduce trash left on the ground at Knight Park playground by putting another trash can by the playground. She drew a map to show where she thinks one should go, and she also made a poster that she wanted to share with you to say how important it is to clean up litter and leave no trace.
And you have a map?
yeah, make sure we get
They'll send you a copy.
we'll send it up.
We have yours tonight, too.
Thank you for listening. I hope that we can work together to keep Knight Park nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Iris.
Okay, yes,
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kathleen Shea Argood from 610 Leeds Avenue, and I'm doing reading on your size. I don't want to forget what I'm saying. Where can the public access the resolutions passed at last month's commissioners meeting in regard to the bond issue for the police, fire, and public works complex?
so there would be ordinances, okay? And are they available online? They're certainly available at the clerk's office if you want to get a copy of it. They should be up online. I'm not sure if they're up, they're in process to be up online, but you can always stop at the clerk's office, give her an Oprah request, and she can give you a copy. Okay?
And we had hard copies here.
3 copies last month.
Yeah,
Last month.
Yeah.
yeah, tell us that.
Okay? Yes?
My name is Emily Karen, I'm with 253 Blue Volunteers. Before you ask people to raise issues, you said, Jim, that there was something that needed to be discussed, something that was hot off the press that needed to be discussed. And you went like this, and I got the impression that we were going to be told something that we could have input on, but I didn't see that happen, so I'm confused. The last thing that you mentioned before you asked people to stand with their own concerns.
So we have copies of the ordinance that are available in hard copy. I'm going to email them out to everybody that wrote to us. And anybody that has any comments or issues or whatever they want to raise to us, like, email me, let us know.
Oh, so
If you want to sit down and talk about it, that's fine, we can try and do that. Yeah.
So it's electronically. I was under the impression that you were going to bring it up here verbally.
Well, there's hard copies here on your way out, there's hard copies here.
The traditional time would be, we'd introduce it today and vote on it next month. But we thought that this was one that deserved more dialogue. So the idea is we're not introducing it, we're just disseminating it out for community discussion.
And because I don't know that we're in agreement with what
Yeah,
it
well,
says.
that's it. I'm trying to understand the process because there's been some articles in the paper about, work sessions and transparency and it's real and people want it. And so this to me seems like part of that. So I just want to understand when you learn it, when we learn it, when we talk together, when we know what you said, I just want to understand that process.
So,
Am I clear? Does anybody else understand what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody here understands what you mean. I don't know that I quite understand. Something, silence something, okay? And on this, I can tell you that we've heard from a lot of people, their thoughts and ideas. We had our attorney draft something up. We've each made some comments to him on what we'd like to see. He's kind of synthesized and put something together, and we're putting it out there, okay? So we'd like to hear what the thoughts are, okay? And that's how we'll collect and
Right.
hear
And how-
from everybody what their thoughts are, okay?
I understand. How do we get to know what your thoughts are?
Well, when we get an ordinance together, at least one way is when we have some kind of ordinance that we're in agreement on, then we'll do it. And I think we've expressed our thoughts here a number of times about Airbnbs. A number of times. I know I keep reading that people don't know what our positions are.
No, I
They don't
know,
agree
I know
with
what
it.
your position on that.
Yeah, so you know what my thoughts are.
Right.
And so we're going out to the world and seeing what everybody's got to comment on a real ordinance that would regulate, okay? Let's see what they say. There's a lot of issues involved, a lot of issues, okay?
Sort of, yeah. I guess I'd still, I'd
Listen, I think you
like
just-
to know what Joan thinks personally.
Sure.
I'd like to know what
No,
Rob
no,
thinks.
I don't really want to know.
You don't know? You
don't
don't
know.
know? You all know what Joan thinks
You don't
about
want it, you don't want it.
Right, I want a ban. And I could give you a 45-minute dissertation, but you'd be asleep. So I don't want to do that to you tonight, but I have studied more about this than my college degree in occupational therapy, I think, at this point. And there are so many cities that are trying to figure out how to get out from under it and how to stop the non-compliance and the corruption of a $30 billion industry. Do people want to rent a room in their house so they make money, so they have a little more money coming in? Yes. But we're supposed to be doing what's right for the whole town at large, for the future, not for some people to make money that wouldn't be good for town. Like, we're not about your individual business or your private business. We're here for what's good for town. And my reading on it is that it's not good. It's good for when you travel somewhere so you can go, but for Collingswood, I am not for it, and I know lots of people who have Airbnbs and who go to Airbnbs. I have to be more objective than that, and I am. However, since we have different opinions and are looking at it from different sides, we have to compromise and come up with something. I do not think there's one person in Collins who is gonna be happy with cars coming and going from their neighbors on both sides when our houses are this far apart. We have no extra space between us, and we will not be able to control that. We will not be able to have police, zoning, or anything control that, because no other city can in America or worldwide. They're all at the edge of their seat trying to figure out how to control something when this organization does not work in compliance with local, state, county governments. They're in their own world.
I'm sure you know so much more than I do about it, and I don't want to debate it with you. I
Well,
just wanted
this
to
isn't
hear.
a debate,
So-
this is me answering because you asked for it,
Yeah.
but that's just a little bit, but I'm here to protect you, our town, because ultimately, we deserve to be blamed for it if something goes wrong. So, we're looking at it, we have our own opinions, the papers you're seeing don't represent us exactly, it kind of is a compromise of things that give something there, but for me, I think everybody should be able to rent their house, and I don't think short-term rentals is the way to go, but I'm open to compromise if, most people who come to me are against it. But for me, I have to study objectively and look at it. So I have to do what's right. In 10 years, we said Collinswood did this and this is why it was good. So,
And,
do our best.
and Rob will give you his view, but that ain't news. Everybody knows Joe's position.
right.
It's been stated here over. If you don't know her
Then you should
position,
come
it's
to me now.
because you haven't been here at a meeting. That's the
right.
only reason,
No,
okay?
I've studied
That's a lot
yes,
different than not knowing, having a reason not be out there.
I have to.
Rob, state what you've said at meetings
Just be
before.
kind, because some people are new.
No, that's fine, but no, the allegation, listen, people are yelling at us that we're not, that you don't know what our reasons are. People do know.
You're yelling.
Go ahead, I'm not yelling at all.
Jim,
Go right ahead.
I wasn't yelling, I'm really.
I'm not. Give your reason. Give your position.
I'm gonna wait till everyone stops. So,
Thank you.
So, thank you, I'd be glad to share. I think that a short-term rental ordinance is possible. I think there are real benefits to allowing a limited scope program. And I think what's important is that we write our ordinances in such a way that we can never guarantee that we can eliminate negative impacts, but we certainly can do all we can to reduce it, and we can also be clear how to respond if we have people who are problematic leasers. So for me, it's about, making sure, connecting to best practices that we learn about from other communities, identifying things that, hadn't really thought about before, as, different parts of this issue. Because it's not just Airbnb. There's, I forget exactly what it is, but there's something like over 24 companies that do this
Short-term
type of
rental.
home shares. And so I want to be mindful of that, but I think we can get there. And I feel we're really close with the ordinance. Is it everything that I want? Yeah. But again, as Joan said, a lot of it's compromise. And realizing that we're balancing a lot of needs and, and getting started, learning from it. Can always make changes. If there's something we learn that we need to change. But so I'm favorable for it.
And
Thanks
my,
for sharing your.
and my position on it, which I've said before, is I don't, for the folks where this became an issue, that there were citations issued, I think we have to regulate it, but we don't, and really, because the fire chief is convinced we need to regulate it, but not in a way that would allow folks to run it as a business year-round. It would not be that. It would be, I think there's got to be availability for the guy that wants to, the people that want to rent their house for a couple weeks when they go away. I don't see it as being a business that you can rent. And frankly, a lot of these cities and towns that Joan's referring, that's what's happening. Companies are buying properties and just Airbnb them all the time. And my biggest, I keep coming back to the same thing, which is I just don't see the benefit to the neighborhood. I get how there's people that go to the business district. I get how the people that live in the house that make more money, it's a benefit for them. I don't see a benefit for that neighborhood to have a house where it's not, even with a rental property, you've got somebody that's gonna be there for a year. And you still have a community, you still have a sense of a neighborhood at your front seat.
And
So
then-
that's where we are.
And that not running as a full-time business is a really important thing to me. Because one thing is, yes, neighbors might not like a transient population coming in every week or every other day. But the other part of it is, if you can run it as a full-time business, you're essentially taking off long-term rental properties off the market. If you do that, you limit the opportunity and likely raise the price of of yearly rentals. And that's really problematic in a town that really has a real, mixed income population. I want to make sure that we're not giving up the opportunity for a family that wants to go to Collinswood schools, wants to enjoy the community, to lose that opportunity to rent because we've shut them out, because we've allowed home share, short-term rental businesses to spread out. So that's an important part. That's why I want to mention.
I agree with that, though.
Okay, anyone else? Yes?
My name's Madeline Nist. I'm 243 East Knight Avenue. I'm new here. And the little bit that I heard, and I really appreciated hearing your opinions. I really did, because I didn't know them. I'm new here. But I also noticed that there's a little bit of raised voices, but nobody was shouting. Okay. But people were feeling, the anger was starting up. People who feel like, we told you, we told you, we told you. People saying, no, you didn't, no, you didn't, no, you didn't. So really what it comes down to, if minutes aren't online in a timely way, how else are we gonna know? Well, okay, you've explained it, but you also understand some people feeling impatient. So where it comes down to is, I think, if people are feeling they don't have a voice, if they feel we don't know how you're coming to your opinions, then what are we gonna do? Is this like some kind of kingdom here? Of course it isn't. You're good people, you're here for the right reasons. I hope you are. But the thing is, I think if you agreed to have working sessions where people could sit in and hear the deliberations and know how things are coming to against it. You have good reasons in between. Who would know that? There's somebody who's moving to another country because she wants to have her Airbnb. Well, okay. Now, if she could hear all of this and she still disagreed, go ahead. But me, being on the outside of it, saying, what's going on here? So that's what it was. I hope you saw my article, or it's actually a letter to the editor in the retrospect. It's from the heart, because I know this is a really good town, and I want it to be the best. Working sessions will help open that up to everybody, and we'll let the sunshine in. That was your Sunshine Act. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Rob Carlson, 21 Norman Avenue. Just for my own education, are all decisions and debate on these various issues conducted solely in the context of these meetings?
I'm going to try to answer that. I think there's some assumption that we're holding a meeting where we're going back, and it's a much more informal process. I drive an hour to work, and I might call Jim Maley because I have an hour and say, hey, Jim, what's going on? He might talk to Joan at some point, but it's not, there seems to be assumption that there's a meeting and nobody's invited to, but it's a lot more of an informal, fluid process, and it's not a one-time, let's do it. It's constantly give and take. I found an email, I found something, someone mentioned, a resident mentioned something, I'm gonna fire off the email to the others and let them know. So, I hope this answers your question, is that, it's a much more fluid, informal process that we talk about this stuff. And we do it as individuals, and then collectively we talk amongst each other, but it's usually just sort of back and forth, willy-nilly and informal.
And the ordinance we have tonight has been the subject, discussion for months and months and months, right? And so Joe did an ordinance, we all commented on it, we've been talking to each other about it, about what your thoughts are. But like everything that's on the agenda tonight, like there haven't been any discussions about, we don't sit down and like go through, well, what are your reasons for adopting the ordinance, extending the tax abatement law for another 10 years? Like, we've been doing it, it's all good, you're aware of it, Joe's aware of it, boom, we're done.
And as a newer person, oftentimes what I'm doing is I'm reaching out to the borough administrator and saying, hey, can you explain to me what this means? Because I don't have their experience. And so that's how I sort of can become more informed.
For this, we're doing our own research, and we have a borough attorney that each of us talks to try to give information and develop what we want to see happen. Each of us have our department heads that we talk to, and our administrator, we have our clerk, when things are going, we try to get our information to it and get information disseminated. So we do the best we can with the department heads.
Yeah, let me just see if there's anybody else. Yeah, Ann. We'll come back, we'll circle back, okay? Yes?
Ann Woodcock, 121 East Palmer Avenue. Before you were, like, when you introduce an ordinance, and then the next meeting, you're gonna approve the ordinance, but don't you always open that up for comment?
Yes.
Yes. So if I had a question about, or an ordinance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, couldn't I ask you, how did you come up with deciding that this is what you wanted to do?
You could do it then, and you could send us an email, any one of the, or call us, or whatever, any day of the 30 days in between.
Yeah, okay, so what I'm saying is there is opportunity for, conversation about how you came up with an ordinance.
Or that you're
how
against
you made a decision.
Exactly.
Always.
That you're for it, against it, any articles you've read on it, anything you send us, we pass around.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something here. Thank you.
And we're so focused on this, but people are constantly, the give and take between 14,000 citizens and their elected officials is happening all the time. Getting stopped at a coffee shop. It's, we hold, regular town meetings where we don't really have an agenda. We just open it up. We hold special meetings for projects that deserve to have special meetings. Police fire being obviously the most prominent one recently. So, hopefully people know that they can always ask and that I'll always share unless there's some confidential employee information or something like that. I'm going to share that information. I think we all will, happily.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so following up on Rob's comment.
Name and address for the record, please.
Kate Delaney, 126 Palmer.
Thanks.
Last month, you cited political caucusing as the exemption that allows you to meet as a forum without taking notes. So I have two questions. Firstly, are you all registered Democrats? And secondly, how does the political caucusing square with the town's nonpartisan designation of the Walsh Act?
So we all run as a political team. Okay, we've all run as a team, Collins. We've all run as a political team. We run as a slate, always have. All the folks that I've been lucky enough to be with, we always have. So that's one basis, okay? It doesn't have to be a D or an R. It's not that. It's just political party, any political party. And we've always run as team Collins. And the other reason, this is why this is this concern that we have secret meetings that no one else, and we decide things, okay? And that's what, you folks have been concerned, right? We decide things in secret, and no one understands the reasons why we make these decisions. We don't do that. What I pointed out is that in this form of government, because there's 3 of us, if you took that interpretation, we could never talk to each other, okay? And in every other form of government where there's 6 council people and a mayor, and they have a working session, they talk to each other all the time in secret in less than a quorum, okay? They talk to one another. What do you think about this? Should you do that? Should we be doing that? What do you think about that? Should I be there? Should I do this? They do it all the time. The school board does it all the time. It is in this form of government, to take that interpretation, we could never, ever speak with one another. Okay? And that's what the difficulty is. And I know we disagree on that, and you think it doesn't matter, we should be, whenever we talk. Yeah, I don't think it is, and that's a disagreement we have, okay? But it's a disagreement we have, and I don't believe that to be the case. Okay? All right, anyone else? Yes?
Okay, just because of that, and because of that, again, perceptions are so important. And if the perceptions among people are, we don't know, they do it in secret, I think these working sessions might be a good idea. You know,
Well,
yeah,
let me-
what do you think of that? What do you think of that? Okay, listen, we're meeting together on Tuesday night, and I'm also gonna read these emails from somebody who had a question about resolution 1234, and then everybody can sit in and hear what's going on.
But let me just make an argument. When you say, people all have this thing, I think there's a little bit of confirmation bias of a small group who's organized, who, holds meetings, specifically cuts out other people, blocks me on Facebook, and talks about transparency, which is fine. But look at it as you want to be political adversaries. You don't want to talk to me because you block me. And that's okay. That's your right and privilege. But don't call me fat and then ask me to dance. You know what I mean?
Does that seem odd to you that the group that wants transparency won't let people in? Does that seem odd?
I hear you.
And so what I'm gonna say is, I understand that when people talk amongst each other, and that could go for 3 people here as well, is if you're just hearing each other, you say, it's gotta be true, because everyone I talk to says the same thing.
Agreed.
But in 14,000, it doesn't necessarily be that way.
That's
It
right.
doesn't mean, if we disagree, it doesn't mean I shouldn't listen to what you have to say. It doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't even mean that you're not right. But the thing is in turn, and I think you rightly pick up that that it becomes heated, right? But I think that's a two-way street. And I don't know how you get trust back when you're not trusted, right? It's really hard to do, right?
I like that quote.
It's really hard
He's got
to
a
do,
million.
but it's important. This town has thrived on community engagement, on the ability to put government and community action together and build beautiful things. It's not, maybe it's not here, maybe it'll never be here. But, there's only so much I can do to that. And we'll see. Rather, absolutely all would, right? I don't know who does it, but at what point when we don't agree on things does it become, well, that's now that was the litmus test. That was the litmus test. You failed, Robert Lewandowski, and therefore, and I'm just using me as an example, but and it becomes a challenge. So. Hopefully we stick to process and we say, what can we do? Can't agree on everything, but it's when you don't trust, how do you build trust, right? That's why people go to shrinks for years on end on stuff like that.
Working sessions would help open up the trust. And then when you say, people have kids, people have night jobs, they can't come to these meetings. The minutes are not online. No,
They come to the working sessions if they can't.
Oh, because then people can say, I was there, this is what I saw. But the minutes, and for what the reasons are not online, and if I can't get here for whatever reasons, then how am I gonna know?
So,
Eventually.
I know you're new, but all the people that are complaining about this to you, like everybody has their question written down, all those people, they've been here at all the meetings. They've been here. They've heard all of this, they've heard it. Rob referenced it, they don't like a couple decisions we made. Okay? Until we made those decisions, everything was fine. We didn't make the decisions the way they wanted, now the process stinks. It's horrible, it's strange. You're not telling us what's going on, we don't know. It's a secret, now it's that way, okay? But before that, all decisions were okay, we were good. So that's what things are. So what else? Let's go around. Yeah, let's go do some good folks. Yes,
I'm Kate Latona, I live at 529 Lincoln.
thank you.
In the interest of transparency, I think it's important to say that Rob was directing something right at Kate Delaney for blocking him.
Yeah, and I can offer an explanation.
From her personal page, which is not up for public debate, but the public government of our town is.
Amen.
So that's important to say. And I think that clearly there is a misunderstanding about what what the point of the group that we're in is, which is not, we disagree with your decision on a thing, so we're gonna all of a sudden have a problem with everything. It's that people who are interested in backyard chickens have been waiting for, 8 years for a decision? We don't know, and Airbnb has been waiting for however long. Nobody knew up until recently if those were, it was always we're working on it, but without a working session, how do people know that it's not just a thing that gets passed to the next meeting, passed to the next meeting, passed to the next meeting, and you're actually having a conversation about it? So I think that is a big drive of this, and the paternalistic way that you speak to people is like a huge thing.
Amen.
We're all here for mutual respect, and yeah, I just.
Well, and I apologize, because it does get heated, because I have read some pretty, what I think are pretty rotten things said about this, okay? And it has an impact, okay? I don't deny it, okay? It does. And it's, hey, listen, I know I'm thin-skinned, okay? I've been doing it a long time, but when people tell me I'm not telling people what's going on, I'm not being transparent, and I don't listen to what people say, and I just decide by fiat and all that stuff kind of bothers me, okay? Because we're about as open as it's gonna get, all right? We have more open meetings with people to talk about whatever they want. So I do apologize for that. I know it impacts me, okay? It also bothers me when we go through these drills that we don't know, and I know new folks may not know, but a whole lot of people that are telling people to ask these questions, no, okay? So we're just, listen, we're just.
Out of the blue without them being interested themselves.
No, because they've already been told that this is what's going on, okay? So it's fine. We're at a, it's fine. What else? Who else would like to say something about it? Yes, sir. Go ahead. We'll get everybody. Go ahead.
Chris Height, 14 West Southfield.
Yeah.
So I do want to comment on the timeliness. One thing I think I've experienced in the past with timeliness of minute meetings or meeting minutes is you go through a first reading, a second reading, ordinance is passed, and there's no minutes to read about. So if I'm reading minutes, and if something was passed in October, the first reading, and the second reading was done in November, how am I going to read them, right?
There's a timing issue.
Right. Timing issue. So it catches people off guard because you're passing ordinances for a second reading, and for 4 or 5 months, 2 months, even prior, no one has any idea that unless you're here, an ordinance is even being read. Right. So I run it.
Can I just address that? Just address the timing of that. The issue is this, and it can't be different, okay? Because when the ordinance, at tonight's meeting is introduced, and if Holly were to do the minutes tomorrow, okay, it can't be, they have to be adopted. We have to adopt them, okay? Well, that doesn't happen until the next meeting.
Right.
Okay, which is the same night as the meeting that ordinarily that ordinance would be heard.
Right.
So it just doesn't come quicker. That's as quick as it comes.
I understand, but you're passing 2 readings before anyone has a chance outside this meeting to actually know what's going on. So the working groups, I got caught in this when police and fire, we've had our exchanges back 2 years ago. Bonds were passed, readings were passed, ordinances were passed, but there was no minutes for 6 to 8 months. No one knew about it unless you knew you were here. And again, you don't pay attention unless you have an issue, right? So I do hope working groups or some other kind of coordination can be made so we can have discussions and not just rely on meeting minutes.
So can I just comment on your police and fire thing?
Yeah.
We heavily advertised it.
I do.
Okay.
We had dozens of meetings, that you came to.
Right, but you passed a $500,000 and $1 million ordinance before you even put it in the town crier. That's fact. That's fact from dates. We won't get into it. Okay.
Can I just bring up one thing, because it's related to that, and it's related to minutes, and it's an important thing, it's an organizational thing. And, we have a staff that's a small staff.
I understand.
The clerk is also head of vital statistics and a lot of other things. We've had a death here, Barbara Matoush. We've had a long-term disability. And no, but it's worth talking about. You can't say, but other than that,
We're talking 2
it
years.
really is
We're talking
this.
2 years now.
Yeah, I'm talking about minutes. You mentioned minutes.
I'm talking minutes from 2 years ago. This is not a new
Can't
problem.
rehash, I don't.
This is not a new problem, right? And
Right.
police
Then-
and fire.
then, okay.
I have screenshots, I can show you, I have everything, don't worry. If we wanna get into it and really kind of root cause it and see where we can correct, I'm all for it. But open working groups may aid in that, so thank you for bringing that up. Night Park, trash cans, that's a great idea. We've talked for almost 3 years now, since the trash cans have been replaced. I'm wondering if you can kind of expand on what the dilemma is. I know you talked about people bringing their trash to the park and you don't want to put up more trash cans, but like, can you just maybe?
So Commissioner Mike Hall, when he was here, and the head of the Department of Public Works and the trustees looked, I mean, it's a private park, it has trustees. We had our head of Public Works and our Commissioner Mike Hall look at the whole park over and over and try and spend quite a big budget on pretty fancy trash cans with recycling buckets, where they thought they could be accessible and serviced well, because there's a guy who's got to go with a golf cart or truck and get that trash, so they have to be able to get to it, it has to be visible, and it can't be where you trip over it or in the middle of a sports field. So they analyzed for over a year. We came up with the money for it, and they put better, be perfect, but that's what they thought, and that's what they had a lot of support toward. We're open to more ideas, but it did take a lot of work and a lot of thoughts of people who tried to do the best they could and may think it's still the best. So just.
And it's just a function of money. We can look at allocating money to put some more trash cans in.
Yeah,
It's not, that's really all.
I was just wondering what was the blocker in, addressing that from, over the past couple of years? That's all.
There was a train of thought that the fewer cans you had, then people would take their trash home. We don't necessarily subscribe to that.
That doesn't happen.
We did the-
That's what they decided.
So maybe.
So we gotta rustle up some money and go,
So
It's
there
more
are
cans.
some problems that are the inherent problems of people who live in homes go with their trash and throw it in there, and people also are having parties leave it there. So there are many other problems underneath the main problem of the trash cans to try to make it work, advertise it better, that take your trash home. There's a whole lot of issues. So
And more trash cans might be a good idea, but it doesn't change human behavior,
I got you.
right?
I
And,
just wanna say that.
teenage kids
Yeah,
throwing
thank you.
things.
It's a good idea.
To bring that up, since she's.
So there are trash cans there, but
Yeah.
it might be 100 feet away from where Iris has determined that there's a better spot.
Yeah.
So where they are is where the guys can pick them up.
Oh, yeah, I got
So, but there might be a better spot or an additional spot
you. Just
that would make
wanted
the litter less. So I appreciate her input or anybody's input on where they should be, but I also have to have guys who will pick it up
All right.
and get there with a truck.
And we're coming up on a couple months from our last police and fire meeting, last winter. So
We're,
you get-
we're gonna be discussing it some more we have a town forum in April.
Okay.
And we're actually doing advertisements go out shortly. We're doing like a 6 o'clock version, just focusing on where we are with that. And then a town forum, roll on to the town forum itself.
Can you give me some heads up where you guys have been over the last couple months, progress?
The architects, engineers are working on finalizing building infrastructure, like trying to advance the ball on that, meeting with the police and fire chief and going over, this is how wide the corridor will be, this is how many cells, getting into the nitty gritty of the building. And that, we should have that stuff. We're expecting in the beginning of April to go over that at our, at the town forum.
Are you guys, I don't know if the commissioner or the architects and designers, are you still pushing to get the open green space behind the doctor's offices and, yeah? is that
Yes,
a-
we are. We're
is
still
that-
working on, think of those lots, the doc's offices run the length from Haddon back to Wallace there, and think of it roughly like half. Like if you cut them roughly in half, we're looking at acquiring these back pieces.
Okay, and is that gonna be incorporated since there's not enough parking on site, or is that just maybe full-time parking, gated,
We,
fenced in stuff?
we're not planning for it until we have it. Okay?
Is it
So
on-
all the planning is being done with respect to the site that we have. Okay? Could it be? Yeah, but we don't have it. Okay? There's positive developments that way, but we still don't have it. Yes, just name and address, please.
Peggy Fraley, 800 Belmont Avenue.
Thanks.
I'd like to thank you guys for moving along on the Airbnb thing. I think that's, even though it might not please everybody, it's nice to see progress. I'd also like to ask you guys to, it sounds like you guys talk on the street, I hear neighbors and I hear this and I hear that. And I'd like to ask you to make sure you talk to all generations. Like, for example, the gig economy with Uber, like the taxi cabs lost out because they didn't adapt. And now Uber and Lyft run the show. So I feel like our town has a huge range. We have young people coming in with young kids, and they have new ways of doing things. And I'd like to make comments and make sure that you guys aren't just talking to the people who have been here forever.
Old people like us?
Yes.
Really?
So, because, you have to adapt. Like, for example, I have a friend who's a photographer, and he's trying to make contracts with millennials. First of all, they ghost. They don't have checking accounts because they do Venmo and stuff. Yes, adapt, or else he's going to lose those clients.
Right.
And I thought, good for you, you're adapting. So I'm asking Collingswood to make sure you talk to all those ranges. And it comes down to the chickens again. A pilot is not an ordinance, and all we're asking for is just 15 people. It's not a storefront, it's not a giant thing that's gonna affect the whole town. It's really just a test. Haddon Heights, their pilot just went to ordinance. They had 0 complaints, and everyone's happy and successful. They're right here. So now we're surrounded pretty much by people who have chickens, except for us. So I'm asking you to give us the chance.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, Jen, just trying to hit people that have spoke. Go ahead.
Hey, Jen Rossi, 114 East Palmer Avenue. Want to thank Mr. Hastings for getting the information to me from last month's meeting about the swinging bench that was installed and later removed from the Night Park. The Roberts Playground at the. So I also submitted some more information requests, so I'm hoping to hear back on that soon. But I wanted to zoom out a little bit more about more than just one playground or one piece of equipment. It's just maybe the borough should consider talking to Connor Strong Companies or risk management consultant to suggest or coordinate a professional that can complete a comprehensive playground inspection of the facilities that are serviced by the borough. This would make sure that our playground spaces are compliant with current standards from ASTM, CPSC, which is Consumer Product Safety Commission, the manufacturers that make the equipment, and the state of New Jersey. I didn't have any luck finding a professional to say, hey, this is a source where you can find a certified playground safety inspector. So I'm going to say again, asking Connor Strong.
They do that every year. Connor Strong already inspects. Does it do all the playgrounds, or is it rotating on the wall? I'm not sure. It might be they hit every other year, but Connor Strong inspects all our public facilities, public access, everything for safety. They're doing it forever. They do. Okay.
So I guess this is the.
Good idea.
Yay.
Thanks. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'll change the subject a lot. Would you guys support a referendum that forbids selling or privatizing Collingswood water and municipal services?
I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't bind the hands of the folks forever and ever. Look at it this way: if there's a law passed that says that, whoever's here 25 years from now, they can pass a law that says that's not so. Okay, but we're absolutely opposed having I can't tell you all the water companies that chased away over the years, not interested. The deal we just did with Pensacola Merchantville is like part of our commitment of like bringing in, you know, professional company to operate for us while we keep it.
And just to be clear, there's no interest whatsoever. It's privatized. It's worse. As a matter of fact, I feel confident when this new well opens up that, you know, we're really, I think a lot of the steps being taken now with water are really positive, and I'm hoping they're gonna pay some great dividends for us. Upgrades and improvements.
We could have made a lot of money, but it's not.
No.
Yeah, it's just, you don't want to give up the resource, it's just not, the reason they want to pay a lot of money is because it's got some financial value, it's just not, we don't give that up.
Water should be monetized like that.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, the gentleman in the back there, yep, Kevin, go ahead.
Mike Lazaro, 926 Stokes Avenue. I want to follow up on Heidi's comment about chickens and mice. Again, this is another successful pilot program right in the area, literally our backyard practically, the training, the ordinance. What is the progress that you guys have made, if any at all, or talked about it? Did any progress?
I know it was spoken earlier that nobody really knows where we are, it's still in process. No, it hasn't been in process, that's just not accurate. We, months ago, I don't know how many months ago, kind of ended that we weren't pursuing that anymore. So that's where it is. It's not, it has not been in process for, since fall of last year, I want to say.
Yeah, so what happened, there was no agreement to move anything forward. We were asked to hold a meeting, and as we mentioned, we're not gonna pursue this anymore, to talk about our individual reasons for, you know, where we were on it, which we did, and as far as I knew, that was essentially it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're just not.
I haven't talked about it in months.
So are we gonna start talking about it again, or we just?
You can.
Okay. Well,
You can talk about whatever you want. We're open to anything. We'll have a dialogue with you. I don't know that we're gonna agree, but
other towns in the area, towns all over the country, I mean, it's something that's pretty common at this point. And just wondering why we're not sort of on that forefront.
do you want to start? I don't want to speak for anyone, so
I mean, I know
go right ahead.
smell, I've heard all these negatives and stuff, but clearly as these other towns have shown, if you regulate it, do it properly, then it can be very successful. It's just like anything else. So.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, you know, this is something that, again, similar to Airbnb. I felt that with proper regulation, you could run something like this. A little more concerned about this than Airbnb personally, and it really, a lot of it had to do with, you know, some of the CDC advisories on salmonella and staffing and how we would manage the program. But I still sort of saw it, but ultimately, it's not a general concept. It's a fine-tuned law or pilot even, and you need to get, you know, people to agree, and we couldn't come to an agreement. That's it.
Can you give your view? No one knows your view?
I'm sure I've talked to you.
Yeah.
So you know Joe's
Like,
view?
honest
I don't know Joe's view. I don't know.
So it's another 8,000 pages that I read on that. I'm not even kidding. I'm so dedicated to making sure I do what my conscience tells me to do the best I can. I've read about it, and after talking to so many people and reading so many articles on it, I feel that people who really know about chickens, I believe them when they tell me that if they had a chicken, it would be 2 acres from their house. I know some people want it closer, but chickens, after my research, not my opinion as a person who grew up in New York, West Philly, and then here, that I have experience with, but from my research, our properties are too small. The chickens are too close to your neighbors. What you have as chickens, a bunch of chickens in your yard, would be too close to the people on the right, on the left, on the back. It's too small. There's too much risk of salmonella. There's the smell. There's the feces that move in our never-ending rainstorms. So tonight I wasn't prepared to talk about it because I've already in my mind, after all of that and talking about it here, put it to bed. All of our ordinances in these small towns were that you can't have farm animals. So that's why it became a big issue, is because you can't have chickens or goats or pigs. So the reason it had to come as a pilot was to change the ordinance. What we did is we didn't change our ordinance from 1880 or 1900 to bring it back and to allow agriculture in that way. Composters, rain barrels, trees, all the things that are not like this, that don't add something that is problematic to the people on the right and the left. And in fact, when we brought up, well, you'd have to get an okay from your neighbors, the people who were advocating chickens said, no, nobody can tell you, right, if you want a chicken, you can have a chicken. That was one of the 10 things that kept stopping it. There were so many things that stopped it. Of course, your neighbors have a right to say that, because you imposed on them. You don't have an acre of land to be able to have separation of your neighbors, and they have rights. So, anyway, I'm not prepared to speak on further than that. I can show you the articles that I've read, but because of that, I don't think we're the appropriate spot. And I do care that our neighbors are doing it and what brought them to those decisions, but speaking to people in those towns, many people didn't want it and weren't heard because they were a silent majority.
And my view is simply, I don't think there's a consensus in town. I think it's a major change. I don't think there's a consensus in town that people would like that. For me personally, I wouldn't want it next door. It's just not what I bought into when I moved into a house in Collingswood. And from my, as we were through this process, a whole lot of people I talked to, old people, young people too, okay? It's not like I'm only hanging at the AARP meetings. Talking to everybody, I think there's pretty much a strong sense out there that people don't want it. And that's where I am. So that's where we were. We went through this process. We kind of, had this discussion a few times, given our positions like this as we were wrapping things up. Okay?
Okay, now, the pilot though, the whole point of the pilot would be to test it out, correct?
It's the same thing.
Families, we would test it out, we'd see if it would work. If it didn't, then it did. If it did, then as these other towns have shown, it'll get passed in the ordinance. So why is it that we can't do exactly what our neighbors do?
We're not interested in doing that. Okay.
And my other question is, would you agree that in Haddon Township, Haddon Heights, these other towns right around us, the houses are similar style, size, the lot sizes are similar size, neighborhoods generally are kind of similar in a lot of ways? I mean, we're not so unique in a lot of ways. Would you agree to that?
I understand you disagree with us, and you think it would all be fine. I get that.
It's not a disagreement.
We don't feel the
Let me
same
ask you
way.
a question. Do you think that the houses and the lot sizes and the neighborhoods generally are very similar between Collingswood, Haddon Heights, Haddon Township, Oakland? Would you agree to that?
No, I'm not agreeing to that. Okay?
But my view would be that they are
You
very
would like us
similar,
to do it.
very same. My neighborhood on Munsters, I can see Haddon Township in my backyard. Okay, they have chickens in Haddon Township in my neighborhood. Okay?
I understand.
Lots, houses, neighborhood, all the same. But we're divided by town lines.
That's
So,
right. That's correct.
I keep hearing about a silent majority. Where are they? Why aren't they here? Where are the emails?
They actually are here.
Access to
are.
them?
You
All
can
right.
raise your hand if you want.
Okay, you're good. There you
Do we have access? Do we have access to these emails, to the silent majority that you're talking
Your
about?
group, this group here has opened them all, has everybody's information, yes, okay? And I know you disagree, okay? But that's where we are, okay? I don't think we're changing anything tonight.
Well, I'm not asking you to change tonight. What I'm asking is for the conversation to start again.
I'm not interested in starting that conversation again yet. Nope, I don't think there's any change in what the perception of most folks in town are. I think most people, from my experience in town, do not want backyard chickens. Okay?
I'll just say this from the person that has it, just give me 1 second, just as a, that generally thinks we could do something like this. I would not want to do a pilot program, ask people to spend $500, $600 to essentially set up everything that you need to set up, and pull the rug on them in a year. Like, if this is gonna happen, it's gotta be because everything's thought out, there's, an agreement to get it done, and, I would hate to run a pilot program unless we knew we had it. We don't.
One thing I'll say to that is if they want chickens, they know it's not gonna go either way or whatever, I mean, they're gonna spend the money. The other thing is that it seems like every decision you guys are making, there's always a sound majority that backs you. That's what I'm confused about. It's like you go to these meetings, I talked to Joan, and she kind of said something very similar to me, that there's this silent majority.
Well, they're not.
Well, they were raising their hand over here as you talked.
That follows your decisions.
It's your neighbors who don't wanna have a fight with you. It's this.
Not everybody, like you said, not everybody agrees on everything.
And they
but
come to
that's what
us
compromise-
because they trust us to.
Listen,
talk to
we
them.
had people, folks that are the most, adamant about the chickens. We had their neighbors coming to us and saying, please don't let this happen. And don't put it on me that I have to give consent for my neighbor to have what I know they want, okay? They're the stuff that we have, okay? All right? It is not, we're not ready to start it again. Joan's a hard no. Rob's, we can do some things. We were exploring some things to try to build a consensus here, and in talking with people, didn't work, okay? So maybe in time, things change. People have different views. Like I keep referring to, and that people get upset about, but we have a brewery in town, okay? When we started that discussion, I didn't think we'd have a consensus that people would think it was okay. We explored it, we aired it, there was, okay? That's not how this went, okay? Not at all, not close, okay? So that's where we are. Now let some other folks. Hi, well, Heidi, you just talked a second ago. Were there other hands? Yes, ma'am, yes, please.
Again, I'm Kathleen Argood from Louise Avenue, and I'd just like to say it's disheartening to me to hear our civic group characterized as some sort of zombie marching club taking orders from the evil one here. But come on, I moved here to Collingswood because, I said, man, out of an extra, it was a total. And I bought it, and I'm glad I did. I love this town. I wish I could have grown up in a town like this in the 50s instead of like your car-dependent suburb. I'm thrilled to death to be able to walk downtown. I love seeing kids walk by my house. I'm in school. I give, which I was not quoted as saying in Mr. Irvin's column, which I think got under your collar. He did not quote me as I went on at length saying that I give everyone who's been involved in the Renaissance of Collingswood every point, political and constructive point on earth for what you guys have done with this town. It is awesome. I wish there was a less defensiveness from the sitting government here toward those of us who would like to be more apprised of what is going on to make this town even better. And that is why I am here and why I'm interested. I don't want chickens. I had chickens when I was a kid. They stink. I completely agree. I don't want them. And my zombie leader here loves me anyway, even though
Silent majority in the house.
I am not the silent in the least. And somebody tried to shush me a minute ago. I don't want chickens. They stink. No, this is not. I also don't want Airbnb like you, John. I've read 1,000 pieces about this.
Okay.
And it is bad. It is terrible. And I'm sorry for the people who can't keep their houses, and in my heart, I feel for them. But you're absolutely right about the despoiling of neighborhoods. My other home is Florida. It's a mess down there. It's terrible. And I personally am so against it that I would not rent one myself. Whereas most people say, oh, I love it, I do it myself, but I wouldn't want it in my neighborhood. Well, I don't want it in my neighborhood either. So, I'm not an evil one who opposes you guys, who thinks you're terrible, who thinks you're up to nefarious, whatever. What I don't understand, and I need to find out further about the Sunshine Law in New Jersey, which I should know more about, being a former journalist, but I was in Philly, are these little, conversations you guys have, are they in accordance with New Jersey Sunshine Law, number one? And number two, I don't understand what your argument is against working sessions. What is the problem with that? And so certainly, you cannot executively run a town without speaking to each other in some very concerted and detailed manner. And I admit I'm a newbie, it's the second time I've ever been to a meeting here. I don't know. I mean, how do you make these discussions that you must have as a matter of course with this very elaborate business of running a town more open to the public? And that's my interest in being involved in this group. And I think that's this group's interest. And, you know, as I said to Kevin Bruno himself, chickens make funny headline, blah, blah. I wish you guys hadn't done it, because that's not what this group is about as far as I'm concerned. It's about a good government and about making a good town even better with input from some very smart and very concerned and very extremely well-meaning people. And frankly, I had an early exchange with our executive when I first moved here, and it was a really happy one. It was kind of like, who are you? You're new here. What do you know? Go
Here?
away.
Where?
With you personally.
When?
It was the get together for the marriage equality thing at Zane School. When we had everybody had the pictures taken, on
Yeah.
the steps. And I was like, this is
That
why.
night you had a bad experience with it? Yeah?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I introduced myself, hello, I'm new, you know, blah, blah, and said something, I have no memory what. Gee, wouldn't it be fun if yada yada, and you looked at me and said, we already do that. Like, get off my lawn, get out of my face. And it,
Sorry about that.
frankly, I've had a very.
It was a great night though, that we were doing a
It
marriage
was-
equality event,
It was
right? Not just a
fabulous.
senior citizens event there on the
But
steps,
what I'm
right?
saying is, I don't quite understand what the thin-skinnedness is. I don't understand what the hostility is. I don't understand what we don't want open, we don't want working meetings. I'll boil it down to, can you explain to me why you do not want working meetings? Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm thin-skinned, I'm a friend. Listen, I do take it very personally. Just like you were so kind to say those words about what we've done all these years. This is very personal work, okay? And from what you said, I think you'll agree that the recent article that ran, didn't come across as you might have wanted it to, okay? All right? So, but things that were said in there, like, are you kidding me? Like, we're basically we're old, and Heidi's repeating it here tonight. You guys are old. You're not talking. The young people would all go for this. Well, that's just not true, okay? And I'm just telling you, yeah, I do take it pretty personal when people say I'm doing things in secret. I'm not listening to people. I'm not reflecting what people have to say. You know what their thoughts are. We are constantly doing that. We don't always agree, okay? And the fact of the matter, is folks who have started this group, okay, and who want to change, I don't know what they want to change, okay, have directed it that we're doing things wrong and bad. And I do take that personally. Yes, I do. So, and I think I should. I don't think you want somebody that just doesn't care about it. No big deal. I don't care what you say. I do. Okay. So yes, that's where I'm at. Working sessions are not there's a disagreement. Kate's interpretation of the law is whenever we talk, there should be minutes, okay? And your group invited us to come speak there. That was technically, under that interpretation, it was a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act.
We had recorded it.
Okay? That doesn't make it a legal meeting, absolutely
That's
not.
not my interpretation.
Doesn't it? Oh, I know it's not, but you invited us there, the two of us, and we didn't know we were invited there. It's a violation of the Open Public Meeting under that interpretation. I can't help getting away with the people that have started the push for change, okay, didn't like the decision we made. That's a fact, okay? So, and that's just where we are. And we'll just, we'll plow through. There's 14,000 plus other people. Having other meetings will not make this borough run better. It will not let you know how my brain thinks and makes a decision, how Joan's brain thinks and makes a decision, how Rob's brain thinks and makes a decision. Because we can convene those meetings and sit down for 10 minutes and say, is that the agenda for next week? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. All right, we're adjourned. We're out of here. Doesn't have to be that way. What they want, and what the sense I get is like, we're forced to go through the methodology and that was one of the things I was asked with my view on Airbnb. Where's my data? I don't have data on it. My data is talking to, hundreds of people in town and hearing from people in town. That's my data on making those kinds of decisions. I didn't do a statistical analysis to arrive at it. So those working meetings, it's not that they want us to have more meetings, is that they want us to have a discussion that involves them, that they are hopeful that it will change our mind on things. That's my belief. And I just don't see it happening that way. You've been in a couple meetings. I apologize, whatever you feel from the one we had, but come to our town forum in April, okay? We only do a couple of them. We used to do more, but we used to do more of them, but less people came. So now we do it where we get like 50, 60, 70 people come out, and we talk about whatever they want to talk about. Whatever rumor there is, whatever they heard of, whatever they want to talk about, okay? Find another town that does that. Find me another town that does that, okay? You learn more at those town forums than you ever learn at pick a town's working session. Way more, because the public gets to talk for 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, and that's it. You're done, okay? It's not what it is being played out to be. That's where I am.
Can I just comment on our community meetings? I just want you to know that I really like that we do that, and we've been doing it since I've been on board, and I feel like it's really helpful because I feel like sometimes it's about 100 people, sometimes only 50, but people bring up things and other people talk. We let everybody get the chance. We all answer. We say, what do you think about this and that? There's a lot of talk, and it really spurs conversations and ideas on things that we then do in our town. We come up with ideas together that way. And then there's the town crier, there's the website, there's these meetings, and even for the police and fire, there were several meetings in a row on that. There were tours, business people and government people working together to get things done. So that's all the conversations that are always taking place. And even things like this ordinance, we're talking to our attorney. We each talk to him and give our information. He has to figure out what to do with it when it's something this big. But we find out what people want to hear, want to see, and we do the best we can to keep in touch with everybody all the time by phone, email, texting. People send me pictures. Did you see this is overflowing here? I sent it to the police chief. We're constantly communicating on that. So just get to know us and communicate, and it works.
And I'll just add that your input is very much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And sometimes it's, and I'm not talking about any particular person, but sometimes when residents say something, it can come off as sour. It can hurt, it can whatever. But it's our responsibility to listen, and we listen. And your input's appreciated. But it doesn't necessarily mean, for anyone, not, I'll look this way too, doesn't mean that it's always acted upon. And, that's part of government, that there's unlimited wants and needs, but there's limited resources. And that's not just money, that's time, that's, that's staff capabilities. There's lots of things that go into it. And I don't want the fact that something's not acted upon to mean that your input's not appreciated anyone in this town, because it is. But it doesn't necessarily mean it'll be acted upon. And I've heard, well, who the hell are you to do that? Well, I'm the democratically elected person. And it kind of is my responsibility. And, that sometimes can be unnerving to some, but it is. And that's why there's elections and people can decide, look, Rob, it's just not, you're just not the guy. And I have to accept that if that was the case. But that's part of the deal. So just wanted to sort of point that out as well. Your input is always appreciated.
Anyone else? Yes. Yeah, because the tape doesn't go.
Chris Hyde, 14 West Summerfield. I think these working groups I wish they were around, a while ago. And I know, like, Slender used to talk about, you know, the police and fire and the whole, you know, kind of inviting the neighbors and everything like that. And, you know, there's not a neighbor in a 2-block radius that was for it, but we still went with it. And I do think the working meetings, the objective is to have a discussion to, you know, so it's with the community, not to change your mind, but to give you a perspective so they can feel heard as well, right? So not, they don't just come to the first reading, it's like, first reading passed, yeah, okay. Right, and then we start the conversation, right? I think it's the interim conversation that people are interested in having, and not just waiting to a town forum where a second ordinance is already, or a second reading of an ordinance has already been passed, and people are hearing about it, right?
Like we're doing tonight, right? Like something that's been a big substance, a lot of people interested in. So we have a draft of an ordinance that we're not introducing, that we're getting out to everybody so we can hear what their comments are. Like that.
So how many,
I haven't done it before. We haven't done it before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know why?
Exactly.
Because most of the time, 99% of the time,
Yes.
the ordinances and the resolutions that we adopt,
Yeah.
okay, are not that big of a substantive change. That's why.
But let the community decide if there's substance in it, right? But I appreciate the positive move towards drafts and, you know, giving people heads up, right? Thank you. That's all I really want to say about the ordinances. It's really the interim conversation and not just waiting for the readings.
You got it.
Okay?
Thanks.
I'm just gonna answer because it's a civics thing that's important, and I have to remind myself it too. As you mentioned that, you know, no one within a 2-block radius is in support of police and fire. And I don't find that to be the case. But I will say this, and I think it's important, that people within a 2-block radius had concerns. And that is not necessarily meaning they're against it. They said, well, what's gonna happen with parking? What's gonna happen with stormwater runoff? What's gonna happen with those things? And that's not necessarily against it. Those are real concerns, and they're saying you better address this. And so as we go through the process, and again, politics is a process. It's not anything else. That those are the things that we addressed and will continue to address with engineers, architects, and stuff like that. So I just want to point out, because I make that mistake too sometimes, is that just because you heard neighbors say, you know, have concerns, and there were people, by the way, who flat out were like in the 2-block radius, like the idea of a police and fire department there, doesn't necessarily mean they're against the whole project. They just have some legitimate concerns, and those are the things we try to address in the process.
But there are also people that are dead set against it.
Oh, yeah,
You know that.
absolutely, and you can't please everybody.
Just want to say, I'm not confused, I'm not getting confused. You know, the civil responsibility and everything like that, I just follow facts and kind of actions and transparency. So I'm not really, it's, again, it's focused on the working meetings. All of that is already passed and said and done, you know.
Yeah, you got it. No, I know.
So I do hope you consider that strongly, have interim working meetings, you know, for the neighbors, for everyone to kind of get into your mindset, not to convince you, but just to get an understanding, right?
Okay.
Have that conversation.
And just to show you that people are watching us on live stream, okay? Former Commissioner Mike Hall sent me a text that says, Joan throwing me under the bus about trash cans. That's the live stream we do, so everybody can see what's going on, okay? Jen's like taking it, doing something else tonight with it, so it's out there, we're getting it out there, yes.
I just want to say, my husband and I lived in the country for almost 30 years before we moved here. And we've been here for 6 years, and I love this town. And I find the passion that you bring and the concern you have to be wonderful. And I find the passion from people who live here who want to have a voice to be wonderful. And I just want to say that we are working together. Just because you don't like something somebody said or I don't like something you said, doesn't mean we're not working together. Somebody made a reference before about disagreement may equal not working together, and I don't think that's true. It's when you bring different ideas and diversity and different opinions together and you're still talking, and you continue to talk, that you're working together, so it just has to continue.
But listen, thank you, I agree with you, I know I get juiced on some of the stuff. And I know for people that are new to the meetings and I'm not referring to now, I can remember the days when Joe Danella used to be here every week and just be honest about the same stuff all the time. And I would react to that, not, tough to realize that people who had never been here before don't know that this is the 85th time in a row that he has asked the same nasty little questions, okay? I get that, I get it, but that's, that's the Irish, that's what it is. I try, I really try.
I think
What
when
else?
people are allowed to voice their opinion, we get the false impression that our solutions might be put in place, and they're not always.
No, not all the
You guys
time,
don't
no,
agree
but
on
some are, a lot are,
Some
a lot
are.
are.
Yeah, things take a little long, but I just think it is working together, even when there's disagreement, because we're continuing to come together.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. I do want to follow up on what Kathleen Argood said, Fiona Dawson, 841 Maple Avenue. That, yeah, I have my question here listed with other people's questions, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wrote our questions and told us what to say. We are all intelligent, independent people who live in this town, love this town. I, for one, have been impressed and said how much I'm impressed by the work we do. I know it's a tough job, but please don't put out there something untrue about our group, that there's one person writing a list of
I never
questions,
said
which
there's
is
one
what
person.
you said.
No. Look, when folks are looking across the room and nodding to somebody to stand up, you can't not have the impression that it's coordinated.
It is coordinated.
There's nothing wrong with
That's
it.
absolutely
Why is
coordinated.
it
We
coordinated?
talk, we
That's all.
agree on what
It's
we're
called
gonna say.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yes, but please don't put out a false premise about us.
Listen, I'm not talking about your group at all.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting any impression out. So don't worry about that. That ain't happening.
Ooh. You were gonna play that.
Anyone else?
Mike Reiser on 96 Stokes. This is like switching gears, but I had a question about the school playgrounds. They're locked up. Is that something that can be changed, or what's the reasoning behind that? I'm just curious because it's valuable open space, there's not a lot of it obviously in town, and I have 3 kids, and they just want somewhere.
Not our job.
Okay.
You gotta talk to the school board.
Okay, that's what I thought. but-
Don't disagree with you.
I thought I would just.
It's not our job.
And I think in the last bond referendum, they talked about turning school grounds into playgrounds and sort of opening them up, like the rest, but it didn't pass, so.
No.
It was something that was put out to the community as part of the larger bond referendum, and it didn't pass.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone
I
else?
just bring up that there is quite a bit of open space in the borough. We have a county park, Cooper River Park, and we have a 70-acre park. But I do agree that the.
Say again, I give your name and address for the record.
Sandra Kelly, 315 Conley Avenue.
Yeah, I understand, there's 3 kids under 6, so it's just hard to get them to those other parks, and I like the walkways. So.
No, I agree that.
I didn't want anything like that, and then
Okay,
specifically for
thanks
kids,
for-
that's what I meant.
Thanks for calling. Anyone else? Okay, we're adjourned. It's almost April.
So, CAB attended.
Well, we're really cool. Well, we're really cool.